Alright, what is up, guys? It's Carson with the competitive 1v1 Commander podcast, and today we're going to be talking about my opinions and the opinions of some of my fellow players on the WotC 1v1 ban list. Excuse me. So, some of these make a lot of sense. And so I'm just going to go through all the cards and voice my opinions on why they should be banned or why they should be unbanned. Ancestral Recall, that's an obvious ban. It's 1 blue mana, instant speed, draw 3 cards. It's ridiculous. And it's just a pain to deal with, especially if you don't own one yourself, and if you can't counter it, they're just infinitely ahead of you. Back to basics, this one's really annoying, and I can understand why it's banned. Because a lot of commander decks are 4-color these days, and they run non-basics. Balance? Yeah, I can see why that's banned. They sacrifice all of their stuff. And they just... It just destroys everyone on the table. Well, it's not even a table, it's 1v1, so... Yeah, it kind of just destroys everything. Baral, see, I was discussing this with a few people that I know. I was like, oh, Baral shouldn't be banned. He's not that great. And then I read the card again. There's so many things it combos with, and you just win games on turn 3. So it's kind of unfair. Bazaar of Baghdad, legacy legal card, kind of a pain in the butt. I can see why that's banned. Draw 2 cards, discard 3, in a dredge deck or something like that. It's pretty crazy. Alright, next up is Black Lotus. I'm just not going to say anything else about Black Lotus. It should be a banned card. It's ridiculous. I need to read Braids again real quick, I'm not... Oh, yeah, I understand why that would be an issue to deal with. Brainstorm isn't that bad. Jace the Mind Sculptor isn't banned, and he's a 0 mana, or you 0 him and Brainstorm each turn for free. It's 4 mana, but you can do it each turn as long as he's alive. So I don't see why Brainstorm, which is a 1-of in all blue decks, would be banned, and not Jace. Channel's just a ridiculous card. In green, it's ridiculous. I understand why that's banned. Dig Through Time. Yeah, that one, you can pretty much put anything in your hand. Just imagine the top of your deck has all the ramp cards you need, or your 3 combo pieces, or 2 combo pieces, sorry. You just throw that in your hand, and your opponent just loses. And it's an instant, so that's kind of crazy. Demonic Tutor, like all the tutors, you kind of just get ahead of your opponent, and if they don't have their tutors, it makes it really unfair advantage. Derivi, it's not that bad. Gets your own commander tax and untaps all your stuff, which I guess is pretty bad. Yeah, okay, yeah, I understand. That's pretty bad to deal with, and banned control, so... Doomsday? Yeah, you can find everything that you need to go off, for your combo. It's kind of crazy. Edric, Spy Master of Trest. Yeah, that one's great. You just draw a card for doing damage. It's going in Leovold, and Leovold's still unbanned, which surprises me a lot. I don't know, though. Let me see. So yeah, Edric, great card. I can understand why it's banned. You get to draw all the cards. Emrakul, Aeon's Torn, the 15/15 for 15 with Annihilator 6, can't be countered. Take an extra turn, and you shuffle it back in your library. This went in that Brawl list, and it's really good in ramp lists, so that's understandable. I can see why that's banned. 15/15, get an extra turn. Give it haste somehow, swing on your next turn, win the game. Get it out on like turn 4 or 5. Latent Tutor's basically the same with all the other ones, except this one's a little bit less good because you have to reveal it. But that's so they know it's an artifact or an enchantment. And it's instant, you get to put it on top, which is good. So, still a very viable card in any deck, so I can see why that's gone. Entomb. Oh, I didn't know they printed a Masterpiece version of this. So this is just gas if you draw it, and then you put Greiselbrand in your graveyard, or Emrakul. Find a way to get them back. Excuse me. And if you find a way to get them onto the battlefield on like turn 2, turn 3, you just like, reanimate, and your opponent's dead. Arayo, Soratami Ascendant. It's from, I don't know what set that's from. So you flip it, counter the first spell played by each opponent each turn. Well, I mean, in an instant sorcery stack, that's really good. Just counter everything. Really controls your opponent, like, they have to decide what they want to get rid of and what they actually want to play. Fast Bond. You can play any number of lands on each of your turns. Whenever you play a land, if it wasn't the first land you play this turn, it deals 1 damage to you. Still really great, even though they moved multiplayer to 30 life. Still an insane card. Put out like 5 lands in that ramp deck we were talking about with Emrakul. Would be really great. What is next on here? Food Chain. Again, it's gonna go in that ramp deck. Just sack all your tokens or whatever. Get like 30 green mana to spend on anything you want. Guy's Cradle's kind of the same situation. You add it for each creature you control. So in a competitive 1v1 deck, imagine they have Rofelos, which is also banned, because it's basically the same card. If you have a Rofelos, or not Rofelos, Azuri, an Azuri deck just wins. You ramp out a bunch of stuff, you sack all your creatures in a food chain, and then you tap for Guy's Cradle, and then sack all your stuff. Have like 80 mana floating, play all your big juicy cards, and just win. Gifts and Givens, I mean, like, it's an instant. You get 4 cards with different names, reveal them. Opponent chooses 2. And you put those in your graveyard and put the rest in your hand. So if you pick like 4 really gas cards, it helps them, it makes them kind of force like what they want to do. Like get 4 big Eldrazi or like some awesome card. And they have to choose. And if they put it in your graveyard, they might have messed up, because then you can just get it back with, like, Reanimate or something. So that one's kind of meh. Okay, Greiselbrand is banned. Good call. 8 mana, 7/7, flying lifelink, pay 7, draw 7. Yeah. Again, you just put him in your graveyard turn 1, turn 2, reanimate, give him haste somehow with, like, Greaves or something, and just kill your opponent. Really glad it's banned, because you put that in a Shadowborn Apostle deck. Hermit Druid. This one makes a freaking lot of sense, because Again, in a graveyard deck, like a Golgari graveyard deck, you just mill yourself with all your big, fat, juicy creatures, and then you just grab them with reanimate spells. Ridiculous. Humility. All creatures lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 1/1. Yeah, that's kind of a pain in a control deck. I can see why that's banned. I understand that. Okay, Imperial Seal. Kind of like Vampiric Tutor, except you don't have to reveal it. Yeah, a tutor. All the tutors are banned, and it's understandable. We just get way so far ahead. Caracas. Yeah, you return legendary creatures, so you just bounce their commander. Lock them out of playing it somehow. Kind of crazy. Library of Alexandria. I don't think I've read this card. Okay. So you draw a card, and you have to have 7 cards in hand to do it. Control decks, infinite combo decks. This is just gas for them, and that makes sense. So, Mana Crypt and Mana Vault, almost the same card. Almost. And, except Mana Crypt is a lot better, in my opinion. These just get you way far ahead in the game. Mana Vault gets you 3 mana on turn 1, colorless mana. So with Emrakul or any deck that runs big things, or any deck in general, these are just great opening hand. You would do like Mana Crypt and a Mana Vault, have 5 mana, kind of do whatever you want, and whatever color you're running, so you'd have 6 mana. Or 5, yeah. 4 in one color, whatever, if you were running both of these. So that one makes a lot of sense. Like, I can understand that. Now, Mana Drain, I don't really think Mana Drain should be banned. Yes, they get a bunch of colorless mana, but Emrakul's banned, so it's not like they're going to be getting anything insane. But in a control deck, if there's other Emrakul or Ulamog or something like that, they counter it, they get their Ulamog. Mind Twist. Okay, this one's... yeah. So, you just make them discard their hand. Sorcery speed, discard their whole hand. X and a black. At random. Mishra's Workshop. Add 3. But you can only cast it for artifacts. So, like a artifact deck like Brea. That would be great. And that makes sense. Alright, I'm starting... yeah, alright. Moat. So, non-flying creatures can't attack. Just in a control deck, like Geist of St. Traft, control for 1v1, which is relatively strong. Can't do anything about it. Kind of just have to deal with it. So, I understand that one. And then we're going to move on to all of the Moxes. These just make sense because they cost 0 mana, and they tap for 1 of whatever color. And you can tap artifacts for mana if they don't have haste, so turn 1 have 2 mana, and you'll always be ahead for the whole game. Plus, Moxes are really expensive, so. Alright, on to Mystical Tutor. Instant or sorcery card, and you reveal it, so again, in a control deck, you could grab, like, if you have some way to make infinite or a lot of mana, grab Blue Sun Zenith and just mill your opponent. Or just find an instant or sorcery that's really good. Natural Order, 4 mana, grab large creature, like a really large creature. Kind of crazy. Necropotence. Skip your draw step. Whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard. Pay 1 life, exile the top card of your library face down. Put that into your hand at the beginning of your next end step. That seems pretty decent to go on the ban list, I guess. Well, I have to read Oath of Druids because I don't remember it. Yeah, Oath of Druids would be... makes sense for an enchantment. Because it's at each upkeep, you just kind of mill them a little bit. Alright, Ponder, I do not think should be banned. If Jace isn't banned, like, I hate to sound like all naggy and stuff, but top 3 cards, put them back in any order, and you may shuffle, draw a card. Kind of like Brainstorm. Actually, it's kind of a little bit better than Brainstorm, but it's sorcery speed. Preordain, same thing. Like, Scry 2 draw cards, kind of crazy on turn 1, I guess. But it's a sorcery. I don't see why that's an issue. These are just my opinions, they're not facts or anything. Okay, Protean Hulk, that definitely makes a lot of sense, because whenever it dies, you grab Prime Time and win the game. Get Primeval Titan. Rathalos is banned because it's like a 2-mana Gaia's Cradle. Oh wait, no, my bad. If all your stuff is forests, like if you got forests, you get double mana. And there's other mana doublers too, so he makes sense to be banned. Strip Mine, that's kind of an obvious one. Just destroys a land. Sensei's Divining Top? Yeah, that's turn 1 Divining Top. Puts you way farther ahead than your opponents. A lot farther. Sarah Ascendant, that one's banned because lifelink, and as long as you have 30 more life, it gets +5/+5 and has flying. So it's a 6/6 for 1 in Commander if you play it on turn 1. So, yeah. Soul Ring, this one was kind of a controversial one when it got banned for me and a couple of people who I play with. Because it's kind of like Mana Crypt, but it's not the same. Because there's no untap effect. I mean, it costs 1 mana, but like you don't have to pay life to untap it or pay mana to untap it. So it puts you way farther ahead. But we were so used to running Soul Ring in our decks for such a long time. Survival of the Fittest. This can it's a creature tutor. But you can use it repeatedly, and you don't have to, oh yeah, you do have to reveal it, okay. Tabernacle. All creatures now require an upkeep cost of 1 in addition to any other upkeep cost they may have. If the upkeep cost for the creature is not paid, the creature is destroyed. So if they forget about paying, their creature's dead, and you just kill their stuff. Really good in control strategies. Time Vault's just insane. I haven't read this before, but I'm just now reading it. 2 mana enters tapped. Begin your turn while Time Vault is tapped. You may skip that turn instead, untap it, and then you get 2 turns. At some point, you tap it for an extra turn. So that makes sense to be banned, in 1v1 especially. Time Walk, obviously, all the Power 9's banned, I think, except for Time Twister. 2 mana, take an extra turn. Kind of crazy. You don't really need a 2 mana, take a turn. Like, there needs to be more drawbacks than that. Alright, we're almost done, dang, alright. Tinker. Sacrifice an artifact. Search for an artifact and put it on the battlefield. Let's see, Voltron decks would run this a lot. Pretty much any deck with great artifacts would run this. Blightsteel Colossus you could grab with Tinker. And just win, because 11/11 trample, in fact, wins games. Tolarian Academy, alright. Artifact X again. Brea. I think it got banned around the time that Brea came out, just because Brea was such a good thing. So many Thopters and Mirror. Treachery. 5 mana, enchant creature. Untap 5 lands. You control the creature. Okay. That makes sense, because you untap your lands, it's a free spell on turn 5. Treasure Cruise. Alright, we kind of talked about this card earlier. Ancestral Recall, pretty much. but later on in the game. But sorcery speed. So it's like, I used to like that card a lot. And then I realized how good it was. Vampiric Tutor. Same thing with all the other tutors. You hit all the tutors with the Banhammer. Vile Smasher the Fierce. Another one from Commander 16. When you cast your first spell each turn, it does that spell's converted mana cost at random, but in 1v1, it just burns them. So, like, you have him out, her out, and you play your first spell, which is like 8 mana, to pretty much kill him. Because you start at 30 now, so they're kind of dead. Yawgmoth's Bargain. You skip your draw step, pay 1 life, draw a card. 6 mana. It's a lot of card advantage. And Zur the Enchanter. Esper Control, anyone? Or Enchantress deck, yeah. Yeah, you just kill him with enchantments. Just right on the battlefield. So, that's going to wrap up the show for today. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we upload. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Later.